Do you think someone loved by millions could turn into a monster behind the camera? In this video, we'll take a look at internet celebrities who became famous online and got involved in scandals. There will be moments when you'll say, I never would have expected this from that person. And there will be times when you'll think, this is just too much, and feel disgusted. If you're ready, let's dive into the depths of the iceberg. First layer, Mr. Beast, the most popular YouTuber in the world. You could even say he's the king of YouTube. In fact, his videos even surpass many TV shows and movies. But the topic we're discussing right now is something very different. Mr. Beast, who has videos where he helps thousands of people and is seen as a symbol of kindness, is he actually a bad person, contrary to what we think? Let's take a look at an article published by the New York Times in 2021. Mr. Beast is truly obsessed with this work and gets completely caught up in it. And that's the result of getting so caught up in it. He sees anything as fair game to reach his goals, and sometimes he can treat his employees badly. 11 people, 4 of whom requested anonymity because they signed non-disclosure agreements, have made the following allegations. Behind the camera, Mr. Beast is not the same as he appears in front of it. He takes on a completely different personality and is apparently quite foul-mouthed. Matt Turner, a 20-year-old who worked as Mr. Beast's editor from February 2018 to September 2019, said that Mr. Beast scolded him almost every day. Turner said that Mr. Beast often called him by a term used to insult people with mental disabilities, and that this left him in tears. Another employee, Nate, started working with Mr. Beast when he was 22, but had to quit after just 1 week. He describes that week as the worst week of his life. He even made a video about it. So in short, Mr. Beast turned out to be a not-so-generous, bad boss behind the scenes. Kanye West. Kanye West, known worldwide and considered by many to be one of the greatest artists of all time. Of course, even though that's the case, his personality is a bit strange. Actually, it's pretty strange. No matter how much people love his rap, his statements attract just as much hate. His statement in 2018 that slavery was a choice, or some of the anti-Semitic remarks and praise he made in tweets after 2022, and even saying he liked Hitler, all show that he has a pretty wild and strange personality. And one of the biggest reasons for all this is his bipolar disorder. Logan Andrew Tate, a social media influencer and former kickboxing champion. However, most of us know him as the flag bearer of toxic masculinity. His disturbing rhetoric was loved by many people and poisoned the mindsets of men who are easily manipulated. In his extreme statements, describing women not as individuals but as simple beings who can be manipulated is extremely irritating. After Andrew Tate, this toxic masculinity trend grew like an avalanche, and dozens of content creators of this kind emerged. Plus, these guys even opened franchises in Turkey. Anyway, if we get back to Andrew Tate, he was detained in Romania on charges of human trafficking and other crimes. Even though he got out, his trial is apparently still ongoing. Neon. He's a Twitch streamer and is known for his toxic behavior. His degrading remarks towards women, insults directed at overweight people, and racist comments. Because I am your store and I told you that. And with many, he is among the most disliked people on the internet. And there's a fact about the internet. Being hated actually brings a huge audience with it. In recent years, he was the most watched streamer on Twitch. Before that, he pulled off a lot of scams. The biggest one was this. In the 2020s, he suddenly uploaded a video to his YouTube channel. The person in the video was Neon's brother. His brother said that Neon had a tumor and didn't have much time left. In the next video they posted, they talked about Neon. And what happened? 5 days later, he came back saying, I'm alive, everything was fake. So, in short, whether it was on Twitch or YouTube, he resorted to a lot of shady tactics just to get views, and in the end, he became someone everyone hated. Second layer, IShowSpeed, YouTube's wild child. With his entertaining and bizarre antics, most of you have probably come across him at least once. He traveled to many countries, including Turkey, and streamed from those places. As a result, he gained fans from all over the world. But Speed isn't all that innocent. Here are a few things he's done. Doing the knife thing and saying things like Erdeglobana Orf AMA Herd Riftos de Mekkelwerken saying Reaper Tupla Burk has an man. Interesting, is that a Huawei stand? I'll do it. Who's going to stop me? I'll do it. The first 2 people. In the world, who's going to stop me? C. Yusuf, Bim. Being around misogynists, crypto scams, and accidentally exposing his genitals on a live stream after getting angry. Despite all this, his streams are still watched by hundreds of thousands of people. Sienna Gomez. This time, we're going to look at a TikToker. Sienna is an influencer on TikTok with more than 12 million followers. Sienna, a TikToker who mostly keeps to herself with dance videos and various fun content, faced heavy backlash after an incident she was involved in back in 2021. So, what was that incident? It was a case. But this time, the person who did it was Sienna. Sienna had feelings for another TikToker named Jack. Although they started out as friends, her feelings for him grew even stronger while they were filming together for the Hype House series. But there was a problem. Jack didn't feel the same way about Sienna. Then, Jack dropped a bombshell allegation. He claimed that Sienna had harassed him without his consent, but since there was no evidence, no one believed him. However, after a video surfaced, all of Sienna's dirty laundry was aired out. In the video, we can clearly see that Jack is completely under the influence of some substance at a party. Then Sienna comes over and basically harasses Jack while he's passed out. This is just a secretly recorded 10-second clip. We have no idea what happened during the rest of the night, but even this footage is enough. Charleston White is a social media celebrity who often makes headlines online with his provocative comments. He has drawn criticism many times for making threats during live streams, promoting drug use, or praising illegal activities. But what really landed him on this list are the things he did in this video. This guy sees a cat while sitting in his car and sprays pepper spray at it. Then he spits and curses. Seriously, why would you spray pepper spray at a harmless cat just walking down the street? And on top of that, he spits and swears. It was honestly a very disturbing scene. Third layer, ADP 445. Yes, we've now reached one of the crimes we'll encounter most often in this video. And that's people who talk to underage girls. It's honestly really sad. They can easily manipulate young people who have no idea what's going on. Especially when the person doing the manipulating is one of the girl's favorite content creators, it becomes even easier. There are dozens, even hundreds of people who abuse this. Just in the past few months, we've come across Turkish content creators who have done these things as well. Anyway, ADP 445, whose real name is Brian Turnham, was a YouTuber who made comedy content. Many of you probably know him from this meme. 2021. No, Secular 2.020. He was involved in a huge scandal when he was caught trying to have inappropriate communication with a minor. He had talked to a little girl who was only 13 years old and invited her to meet up. But things were not going to go well for Brian. Because when he arrived at the meeting place, instead of finding a little girl, he was met by 3 big, burly men. They had set a trap for Brian. Then, they recorded the whole thing. He claimed he was only there to buy some cake. Let's go. After the incident, he was permanently banned from many platforms, including YouTube. His career completely collapsed, and his name started to be mentioned as one of the biggest downfalls on the internet. Also, let me say this again, it doesn't matter if you're a girl or a boy. If you're young, be careful. There are malicious people on the internet who can easily manipulate you. It could be a random person you meet under a post from someone you don't know at all, or even a content creator you enjoy watching. Be careful, ask Travina. Ashley Trina, a 35-year-old TikTok user who shares her turbulent life on social media, has gained both followers and criticism. She is a woman known for constantly getting into drama with people and being labeled as the worst mother in history. The most striking thing she does is her love for killers. She constantly talks about her fascination with people who have taken someone else's life. Apparently, this type of person attracts her. A few of her relationships that have come to light were actually with criminals in prison. She has also made posts praising criminals who are murderers. In particular, her comment about a prisoner's victim, saying maybe if the victim had been happier, they wouldn't have ended up in that situation, sparked a huge backlash. She also made headlines for the things she did to her children. While she was making hundreds of thousands of dollars thanks to TikTok, she wasn't paying any attention to her young children. For example, it was said that her children slept on the floor and didn't have proper beds, that she showed them no attention, didn't provide them with food or drink. In short, while she lived a luxurious life, she didn't even meet her children's basic needs, which is why she's been called the worst parent. She also talks in her posts about constantly being with people who are 18 or 19 years old. Yanderative, Yandera Simulator. If you're an old YouTube user, there's basically no way you haven't come across this. At one point, everyone on YouTube was playing this game. It had a huge fan base and the future of the game looked bright. So, what happened to this game? Why has it still been in beta for 10 years and never released a full version? The biggest culprit behind this is the game's developer, untold, also known as Alex. Alex was a controversial figure. Before he started making games, he was a streamer and would express his twisted thoughts there. He had a deep hatred toward women. He used to say the world was hell because no woman ever loved him. He also hated the men who were their partners. In short, Alex was a human being. He was also a total creep. He would talk to girls who joined his streams, and if things went badly, he'd curse at them and ban them. If things went well, he'd take the conversation to private messages and ask for 18+ photos. He even managed to get photos from an underage girl this way. As a result of this kind of behavior, he was permanently banned from many of the platforms where he streamed. After that, he started creating content on Twitter. And by content, I mean he wrote 18+ stories about female video game characters. During this time, he was also developing games. The biggest game he developed, the one that made him truly known, was Yandere Simulator. In the game, we control a high school student named Yandere-chan and help her get close to the boy she's obsessed with. On this path, our character was willing to do whatever it took. She didn't hesitate to manipulate, intimidate, or even kill her potential rivals. The game somehow caught on and was played by big YouTubers, becoming one of the most popular games of that time. But there was a problem. The game was coded terribly. It ran at low FPS even on the highest end computers. So, what kind of problem could this cause? Alex started a Patreon to support the game's development and received donations there to contribute to the game's budget. Even though he collected hundreds of thousands of dollars, he didn't fix the game or even attempt to release a full version. After all, these people had paid him to release the game. But Alex was spending this money on his own pleasures instead of the game. In short, Yandere is a scammer with a perverse personality. Lovely peaches. Before we get into this, if you're eating, you might want to skip this part, because it's really disgusting. Even I was extremely grossed out by this woman while making this. If you haven't skipped ahead, let's continue. Here, we're truly dealing with someone who's mentally disturbed. Okay, becoming famous by making people hate you works, but this is just too much. I hope this video doesn't get restricted when I talk about what she did. Anyway, we've seen people go overboard to get famous on the internet. But Lovely Peaches takes things to a whole new level. So, what did this TikToker do? She recorded everything I'm about to mention on video. She harmed herself. She ate her own feces, drank cleaning products, and even has a video where she smeared her own menstrual blood on her face. Anyway, there are even clips where she admits to sleeping with hundreds of men in exchange for food, money, and shelter, assaults a random elderly woman on the street just because she felt like it, and harms her own dog. She also says that she wanted to sell a little girl to other men for money. Honestly, I don't want to go on any longer about this mentally disturbed person who has been involved in dozens of disgusting incidents like these. She's literally like the Antichrist. Guys, I'm going to briefly interrupt the video. YouTube has changed its algorithm and now really values this hype button. So if you're on mobile, you can just swipe right in the comments section to reach the hype section. If you hit the hype button there, you can support me. You'd be supporting me, so thank you in advance, and let's continue with the video. Fourth layer, Lil March. A so-called artist who makes bad raps with nonsensical lyrics, known as Lil March. They also call him McChicken. The reason this name stuck to him is just as disgusting. He engaged in some sexual acts with a food item called McChicken and then ate it. He even recorded all of this on video and posted it. It's honestly disgusting. This guy's favorite number is apparently 14. There's a reason for that too. The reason is that, together with another friend, he sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl in a supermarket parking lot. No matter how you look at it, he's a harmful person. Elliot Rodger. How did this man, who deeply hated women because of the wounds he received from them throughout his life, who screamed and spewed his rage like a madman, and who later got involved in terrible incidents, end up this way? Let's go back to the very beginning, to his childhood. He was born in London as the son of a Chinese mother and a father who was a film director. Roger's childhood was always unstable. His father was a man focused on his work and indifferent to his children, so the only person who could support Roger was his mother. However, their relationship wasn't very good either, and they divorced when Roger was 7 years old. Although he seemed to be well off financially, he went through tough times psychologically. It was during this period that his hatred toward women began to take root. the woman his father remarried treated Roger very badly. Roger was already a shy child. At a time when he couldn't socialize well with people, the psychological abuse he suffered from his stepmother sparked his hatred toward women. Noticing his withdrawn state, his family sent him to summer camp so he could socialize. However, instead of helping, this place had the opposite effect. Even among all those people, Roger was still left alone. In fact, not only was he alone, but he was even bullied. The bullying he experienced, especially from an older girl, remained a traumatic memory for him. As a result of all this, something started to ignite inside Roger. Misogyny. As things escalated, it only got worse. Years passed, and he reached high school age. The women he already hated were choosing other guys over him. How could this be? He would shout and scream, punching the walls, asking how they could not choose him. Roger also hated the sadist. In fact, he was trapped in a cycle between hatred and desire. Even though he hated what he couldn't have, deep down he still desired it. These feelings weren't just kept inside. He also shared his twisted thoughts on forums. He wrote hateful messages about handsome men and beautiful women, wishing for their deaths. He also talked about how much he hated women and how he couldn't understand why they didn't choose him. His violent thoughts were marked by many people. He was getting banned from forums. Things continued the same way when he started university. Once again, he wasn't being chosen and he was spewing hate because of it. But the thing is, people weren't like him. His friends around him were gradually losing their single status one by one. One time, while he was sitting in his dorm room at the university, the friends of the other roommates came into the room. They all sat together, having drinks and chatting. With an atmosphere like that, inevitably the conversation turned to that well-known topic. One by one, the others were saying at what age they lost it. Roger was the only one in the room who hadn't lost it. While this was already getting on his nerves, the final straw was something one of the guests said. That person had lost it at just 13 years old. Roger couldn't take it anymore and lost his temper. He poured orange juice on the guy's face and cried for hours in the bathroom. I told you he was hanging around on forums. Eventually, he found the forums where he could finally feel accepted. His previous mistake was posting on regular forums. But when he started sharing these ideas in incel communities that hated women, instead of being mocked, he was praised. Day by day, he became more popular among incels, and most people agreed with what he said. Eventually, he started a YouTube channel and continued there as well. There, too, he would sit in his car and talk about these topics. Then, just a few days before his 22nd birthday, he posted on a forum saying, "I'm giving women one last chance." And he really did go to a party to give it one last chance. No one there paid any attention to him. None of the girls came up to him. That was exactly the problem. Roger didn't approach girls, he expected them to come to him. It had always been like this. He would sit in a cafe for hours, and when no girl came up to him to try to get to know him, he would lose his mind. He became obsessed with getting rich. According to Roger, if he got rich, women would notice him, and to get rich, he chose the easiest way. He was constantly gambling, and it was making things even worse for him. He kept borrowing money from his father and losing that too. He wore expensive clothes and tried to attract girls with his luxury car. But there was a problem. He was waiting for women to make the first move, and every time they didn't, he was disappointed. Roger's mental state got even worse when he couldn't get with anyone at the party. He saved up the money he used to spend on gambling, bought weapons, and finally carried out his big plan. In May 2014, on the very morning of that dark day, he began to put his plan into action. First, he took the lives of his 2 Chinese roommates. Then, he killed a 3rd young man, a friend of theirs who had come to the house. After that, he got in his car and sent his manifesto to his family and the people around him. After that, he entered a student dormitory. He had specifically chosen it because he knew that beautiful blonde girls were there. Because he especially hated those beautiful girls. But the people there didn't open the door. Still, he didn't give up and went into the dorm next door. Here, he took the lives of 2 more girls. After that, he went into a market and there, he took the lives of a total of 13 people. Soon after, he took his own life as well. Alright folks, that's it for the video, and I think it turned out pretty well. I already knew about that Elite Roger incident at the end, but when I looked into it in detail again to tell you about it, I found things that surprised me even more. For example, especially the part where he goes to the house of those blonde girls is really scary. By the way, the guy is actually good looking. I mean, he looks decent. I don't know why he did it. Something stayed with him. I mean, he was traumatized, and as a result, he did some really bad things. Anyway, everyone, which incident was the most surprising for you? You can mention it in the comments. Also, you can check out the Disturbing Channel's iceberg from here. There are also YouTubers like this who have been involved in a lot of incidents over there. You can check them out too. Also, you can leave a comment on the video and like it as well. Alright then, everyone, until the next video. Oh, by the way, you can also follow me on Instagram. Just thought I'd slip that in. Right now, there are about 1,500 of us, but if you want to be one of them, you can follow me. You can also send me messages and ask questions there. Alright then, everyone, until the next video, take care.